Have you been bit? I said, have you been bit? Well, get in here then. Well, I'm glad you're not dead. Welcome to the guild. People are starting to look at me suspiciously, you know.
In what regard?
Well, I think it's hay fever, but I've started to sniff.
You're on cocaine.
And the problem is... Well, the problem is around this place, if you exhibit any kind of signs of illness, they shoot you in the back of the head and throw you in a, in an uncovered grave. So I'm getting a bit bloody nervous.
What the hell is he doing? It's true.
I don't know if I told you, I was speaking to Max the other week, and there's this girl who's just turned up, Janine, and we were picking over the corpses of zombies, for gold teeth and various valuables so we could trade them on the open market for bread. And we got chatting, and I tell you, I've never met someone with malnutrition who has looked so beautiful in moonlight before.
It's a very strange concept that you've just brought up, and I like it. It's a beautiful description of something terrible.
Well, they say the apocalypse was going to be a bad thing, but I'm beginning to wonder whether I found love, to be honest.
I think it brings out the best in people.
Exactly. The thing about what they don't mention about the apocalypse is that, it brings people together in the common aim to kill those people over there simply because they've got bread.
Exactly. And fuck them, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think civilization is vastly overrated, and frankly, I'm excelling in the apocalypse.
It's all I've ever really wanted in life is for everything to go just to shit. And then I can prove myself on a scale that I understand, which is terror and just being awful and vile with other people.
Well, exactly. I mean, I've been tense. I was tense my entire life. And now tension is actually giving birth to the kind of, inexpressible violence that the world was based on.
It's exactly like Fight Club. I've never slept better.
Exactly. I mean, some bloke the other night came up to me, punched me in the balls, and all I could squeak out was thank you as he walked away with my stuff.
He taught you a lesson, hasn't he? That's the
exactly.
thing. He taught you a lesson, and you deserved it.
And I did. And the fact that I passed blood in my urine the next day was just a sign that I was learning.
It's a souvenir, isn't it?
Exactly. I do keep it in jars just in case the water runs out.
It's true. It's a disinfectant. We all know that.
Anyway, so I went around the compound the other day, and I was speaking to some of the people, and I asked them a question. And most of them looked at me confusedly, and some of them said, wow, that's a segue. And
I was riding around the compound the other day on my Segway, and
and I was asking people, and I asked them what's the most annoying thing they find about gaming.
Oh, yes.
And as back in the real world, you were the preeminent board game celebrity.
That's how I remember it.
After you bombed the Dice Tower headquarters.
That's true.
So you know about this stuff. So what do you find annoying about gaming?
The thing is, right, what annoys me about gaming, there's a few different elements to this. It's like what annoys me about gaming, what annoys me about gamers, and what annoys me about the gaming industry. And there are the things in all those categories that annoy me. And I have to be said. But I think my thing that I hate most about gaming is... which one of those do you want to tackle first?
Let's talk about gamers, because slagging off other people is always loads of fun, right? And recognising the faults in others and stolidly denying that you have them yourself.
I think that's important, and I think that's something that's really come into the limelight in recent times.
Absolutely. Hypocrisy is my credo, and it's a credo I cleave to.
It's my currency. I think the thing that annoys me about gamers almost the most is shelfies, haul picks, and just a basic snobbery about stuff. Shelfies. I think shelfies. It's shelfies. I fucking hate shelfies.
Why? What's wrong with shelfies? I quite like them. I mean, I don't do them myself because I don't want people to see the inside of my home.
I mean, that's
but
yeah.
Because I don't know who you are. Don't come into my home. You know?
I don't want to give you any information. I don't want you to be able to triangulate my position.
I'm going to take pictures of relatively valuable things I own, and then I'm going to put them on the internet, which is in no way going to attract people to come round and rob me.
And then I'm going to tell you when I'm at a convention, and thus not at my house. Okay.
So what is it about Shelfies that bugs you?
I think it's... So I do take pride in the way my shelf looks. So I've got some things that I have a problem where I have to argue both sides of a point a lot of the time, which is very frustrating for anybody talking to me, but I'll do it anyway. I do have pride in my shelf. I make sure that all the board games are on there. I like to try and make sure that every bit of space is done and it's all lined up. It looks nice. I like that. But I think a lot of the reason people are posting pictures of Shelfies is just to show off how many board games they own. And that pisses me off. It just pisses me off. Because first of all, I think Kallax shelves are the most overrated piece of furniture in the entire world. I really have a active hatred of Kallax shelves.
I'm really shocked because I never thought I would be in a position in my life where I would be communicating with people I'd never met before. Seriously now. Over the virtues of shelves.
It's a massive deal.
What have I become? You know what I mean?
It's true. I've watched YouTube videos on board game shelving, and I've watched the same video more than once on occasion. And that's just a travesty, frankly. But when you think about it, you go, man, we're talking about shelves. Oh, God. But yeah, so shelves, Kallax shelves are overrated. I've just got a bookshelf. It costs £10 from the British Heart Foundation. Great, love it, fantastic.
And you've probably saved someone from a coronary thrombosis through that bookshelf.
That's how much it costs, isn't it? About £10 for one of those.
To treat people for a heart attack? I assume so.
I can't imagine. I mean, we just leave them in the street nowadays, don't we? But that's different. Well, I'm getting into the character of the whole situation. I'm loving it. So
you're running with this premise very quickly.
I'm trying to. Shelfies. But I think what annoys me most is actually, now I think about it, haul picks. Shelfies do piss me off, I'm not going to lie. And people who film board game videos, and I used to do it, because you think, because the reason I filmed board game videos in front of my shelf was because I thought, well, I've got nowhere else to do it. I need to do something. I need a backdrop. I'm not going to buy a backdrop.
But aren't you fascinated by other people's game collections, though? I mean, I certainly am. When I see a shelfie, I think, oh, I'd like that, and I'd like that. And I don't know whether it's arrogance about the games you own. I think it's more about, hey, look at these games I own. Have a conversation with me, please.
That's true. It's exactly the same reason, almost exactly the same reason people buy books and don't read them and leave them on the shelf. Is to give that. So I have that annoyance with it. I think some people have. Well, you don't buy games just to say, I own Dimaka here. Look at me, I play that. But it just, I think, okay, so if they do piss me off, well, I'm willing to accept the fact that they are not as terrible as I feel about them. But I do think that people who go to conventions and take a photograph of a haul photograph, H-A-U-L, I think haul, right? Yeah. I just feel like I'm saying it in a way that no one's going to understand.
Just say it. Just say it. Don't spell it, because that way madness lies.
That's true. Haul. I'm going to spell every word out now. So, haul photographs really aggravate me the most, I think. That is just the gluttony of board games, showing its ugly face. And all it says is, look how much shit I bought. Well done.
Yeah, well done.
I'm proud of you. Well done. It touches the roof. Well done.
I have done haul picks myself, and really, I felt when I was doing it, part of it was saying, look at all the exclusive stuff I've got that you're not going to get for 3 months.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
And it's only sort of 6 months later down the line, you think, oh my God, what an objectionable prick I was, you know?
Well, hindsight, with 6 months worth of hindsight, that's not too bad. Also, you get back and you go, man, I've was showing that game off and it is terrible. I mean, that's also something. I just think that haul photographs are... And I understand them. And I do get the fact that oftentimes I like people to see that I've got a shelf full of Steffenfeld games, right? Because that kind of describes me, it shows me as the gamer I am. Stefan Feld fan of
a serious, intelligent,
him.
adult
Exactly.
human being who does not have truck with your idiocy.
Exactly. I don't want your minis. Give me some chits. And that's all I want. And I get that. It's kind of like showing your caliber or showing who you are as a gamer. And I get that. But I do just find Hall photographs they just aggravate the living shit out of me. I'm not going to...
I mean, I think I mean, everyone goes through this phase, I think. When I started gaming, I bought everything.
Yes.
You know, I'd get pissed on a Friday night and go on Amazon, and then I'd just buy like 7 games, and then I'd never play any of them, you know. And I think everyone goes through this phase. I think some people stick in it, but mostly people then become more deliberative over what they buy, and they kind of know what they like.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there is a worry that the hobby becomes about consumption and not about the thing it is. It becomes about one-upmanship. Look at this new exclusive game I bought. Look at these 20 Kickstarters I've backed. And I think that is... It sort of doesn't tie in with me politically.
Yes.
And I kind of feel worried that I sort of buy into this horrible capitalist consumption idea. I shouldn't really, you know.
Yeah, I will just say as well is that I do understand a lot of these things, the shelfie, the gaming hall, you see it a lot, right? If you're on Facebook, for instance, a lot there's Facebook groups, and buying just a metric shit ton of games and stuff. And I did it. You know, I bought Cosmic Encounter. It was Tom Vassel's favourite game. I'm buying it. Must be the best game ever. You know, we've all done through that. And I do have to kind of like separate myself and think they're just really excited about board games because they might be new to it.
Right.
And I go,
no,
yeah,
absolutely.
I was excited like that. I still am.
And people are. You have to give them that benefit. They are really excited about the thing, and it is an expression of that. So I guess at the end of the day, you should give them the benefit of the doubt. But if you ever see me put up a haul, if ever society gets knitted back together and I put up a haul photo, you are absolutely within your rights to call me a prick. Online, in public.
Yeah, I will. I'll kick you in the balls and make you piss blood for a week. I think that's fair.
I think it's absolutely fair and it's a lesson learned. So, Cthulhu Dreams. I was speaking to Cthulhu Dreams on the corner by the latrine after they just came out.
He's always... What's he doing there? He's always there.
Well, he's a daydreamer. He's dreaming about the day when Cthulhu will come.
Oh.
And he said the thing that annoys him most is trying to get a game together. Getting 3 mates for enough time in the mood to play whatever it is you're trying to play is always a huge goddamn hassle. So, you talk a lot about playing games with your brother and not really having a game group. Is this an issue for you, getting people together to play games? Do you find a problem just getting the games played?
There are 2 types of board gamers in this world, I think you'll find. Good sir. Right. There's the kind of... And I saw a tweet about this that I thought, that is so true. It was a tweet about the game Scythe. And they were saying there's 2 types of people in this game. Do I buy Scythe, Rise of Fenris, the campaign, even though it's one of my favourite games, I've only managed to play it once this year. And there's like the people like that, and there's the people, do I buy Scythe, do I buy 2 copies of Rise of Fenris because both my game groups want to play it 3 or 4 times this week. And there's just the people who I know some people who, they're just board gaming every night, all the time, 2 groups, 3 groups, they're just never not board gaming. And that would be too much for me, I feel, social interaction. But I do find myself incredibly jealous of the people who just have their pick of 3 or 4 board gaming groups. They've always got people interested and stuff. And then I'm there thinking, anyone want to play a game? Anyone?
But aren't you the person of the famed board game group 15 minutes down the road that you've never been to?
Well, I do have a board game group 50 minutes down the road, which I've never been to, and it's in a little town called Kinver, and I haven't got. You are right, actually. There is that option. I've not gone.
Aren't there caves at Kinver?
There are caves at Kinver.
I think I went there when I was a Cub Scout.
You would have, because there's also a campsite at a Kinver campsite, which is the. I've also been there on. We've been to the same campsite. How exciting!
Oh my God!
My Jesus. Jesus didn't come back. He said he was going to, but he never fucking did. Oh well.
Well, he's still got time, and he's still got time. Maybe the buses are late.
So I do find getting a game together is an incredibly difficult thing. But I also do agree with you the fact that you have to be willing to put yourself out there.
But why don't you go to this game group then?
Fuck them.
It seems plausible to me. Okay, going on to someone that you're friends with. I mean, if friends can be said of a man who's slowly zombifying, and that's Dan Hughes, DG Hughes.
I've not heard of him.
You've never heard of him?
I don't think so.
Are you denying it because of the
It's contractual.
the trouble it'll bring you on the compound to be associated with it?
It's true. It's contractual at this point. It's a difficult situation.
So he's sort of talking about what we were just talking about, and he says, "I'm a broken record on this one." Sorry, I'll do the accent. I'm a broken. Can you do the Hovis music in the background? I'm a broken record on this one, but it's the glorification of avarice and consumerism that's driven by the community.
Where did he learn the word avarice? That's my. I want to know.
I assume he always has dictionary.com open when he's writing these things. The declaration and humble brags of having acquisition disorder, being a completionist, as if it's a badge of honour rather than a psychological flaw. And then the word that sums up Dan perfectly at the end, bah.
So I was too busy doing the Hovis theme tune to read that, so I'll just quickly go through. Yes, it's the whole acquisition disorder, being a completionist. Like being a badge of honour rather than a psychological flaw. Bah, he did write bah, didn't he? He did. What an expressive man. It's what we've just said, isn't it? There is something that... And a lot of the community are pushing this because a lot of the community are selling shit. And I appreciate that. But there is something very satisfying about choosing a game. I know some people who do it for Imperial Settlers, for instance, or some people who would do it for Catan or for Lord of the Rings, the living card game, if you've got money to burn, who want everything. Just to say, you know what? I've got everything for this game. And if you love a game, go for it. But... it is a little bit of a... It doesn't make someone who doesn't do that any less of a lover of that game, I think. I think that's something that's...
I think the big issue is that I find is that we lived in an age where consumption is dangerous. I mean, it's literally, can end the world. And I don't think... And people keep complaining about, there's so many games coming out, I don't know what to buy, it's going to destroy the industry, and at the same time are buying all of these things. But then again, you have... we wouldn't be involved in this industry if it wasn't for these kind of people that are super into it and feel the need to consume everything, though, right?
Exactly. You've got to... If you're starting out in board game media, which is how I still consider myself to be, certainly, it's board game media. I just made myself vomit. Is that you do rely on people who are super into it to consume your content. Oh God, I want to kill myself. You do rely on these people because you have to have people who are super into it to consume all this stuff, right? And I'm not one for the pit that says, the bubble's going to burst, But I do think the production of games, I think the bubble will burst in a way, but for everyone but the consumer. There's always going to be great games coming out, but I don't think they're going to be coming out from 5,000 companies, 2,000 games coming out of this Essen or whatever. I just don't think there is almost too much, right? And out of last year, there is... the cream of the crop has become just like a film of grease at this point, I feel. You can have that. That's pretty good. I just came up with that. That was nice.
But also, the thing is, though, what's interesting is the rest of it, the sort of milk beneath the cream, is, even though the cream is very thin, the milk is still pretty good, right?
That's true.
It's not rancid and shit. You drink the milk and you go, yeah, the milk's fine.
That's true. For every fantastic... So... there's been a couple of games last year that absolutely blew me away. Forum Trajanum was one, and I know that
absolutely amazing.
You've gone on about this, that you loved it, and it really is an incredible game. And I would say Castel as well is fantastic. Have you played Castel, just quickly?
It's really annoying because I was playing just last week. I was playing Holding On with the designer of Castel, but I've yet to play it because the designer lives in Berlin.
I do think you'd like it. Van der Beek, that's his name? Aaron Van der Beek?
Yeah, yes. Aaron Van der Beek, yeah.
Like, nice man. He seems like a nice person.
He is a very nice man.
There's a few games that have blown me away, but there've been very, very few games that I've played that I've hated. So the rest of them are just fine. They're all right. They're not bad. I really don't think bad games tend to get published, because there's a human level of intelligence that has to go. There's a human checklist of intelligent people who have to think about money and whether something's viable. If it goes through the classic route, you know? And
I think the thing with Kickstarter, if you look at Kickstarter, I think there used to be a time where Kickstarter games, some of them were just non-functional, absolutely dreadful. But I think if you look at them now, the biggest criticism to a lot of Kickstarter games is, this could have done with a couple more months development and it would have been brilliant, right? As opposed to, this is bloody dog shit.
Diabolical, you know?
Yeah.
I do think people have learnt that it's certainly a way that because it is such a small community, right? Board games and board gamers, is that the second anything if you get a red cross next to your name, it's very difficult to escape that, and people have quite long memories in that kind of regard. So if you've done a Kickstarter for a game that was just a bit shit, people remember you for that game. So people are taking more care in what they do. And I mean, there's always going to be people who are going to jump on that bandwagon of an exploding kittens type game, or kittens in a blender, or babies in a kitten, or whatever they're called. But I do think the quality control is relatively good. I don't really believe bad games get produced that often.
No, and I think actually the hobby at the moment is not decadent at all. I think it's very healthy, and I think you're seeing really interesting things. And I think we're at the beginning of a maturation of board gaming. Holding On is, the first in a line of games I think that are going to come along from interesting people that want to plumb the depths of human experience through games. And I think that's a really valuable, wonderful thing and a good precedent.
I need to play this game because I've heard you talk about it in the Is It Art? And you said it was, and I'm now...
Oh no, it's wonderful. It's a really affecting game.
I do need to play.
So, going on then to... oh my God. I can't believe they let him in the compound. Mike DeLisio from Onanism Games.
Oh.
He's got hairy palms and really bad eyesight because he does it alone all the time.
That's true.
And he basically is talking about people who value winning above all else. And the fact that they value winning means that they end up monopolising time at the table. And I have this theory about analysis paralysis. I think it's born out of insecurity, but it manifests in selfishness, and I see very little reason to excuse people who participate in it. Do you think I'm being harsh?
No, I agree with you 100%. Do you know what? The first thing I do when I don't know... the first thing I do when I'm trying to think of a turn in a board game that I don't know what I want to... When I don't know what I want to do, I'm just thinking, do I want to go over here, or do I take this card, or do I do this? The first thing I do before I start taking these decisions is apologise and say, I'm sorry, I just need to... No, I don't know whether I'm sorry, I'll do this, I'm sorry. Because it's so fucking annoying for people to sit there, and it's just a game. And yes, I always want to play with people who are playing because they want to win, but I don't want to play with people who are playing just to win. That's a completely different thing to me, and not very fun. And you're right, it brings out that analysis paralysis that's not from, I don't really understand how this works and how this works. It's analysis paralysis where someone is... Coimbra, I played recently, it had this, I think. And it was analysis paralysis based on, they were min-maxing every idea, going through every permutation, and it's like, well, do you want us to go play something on the side while you do this? Because these intelligent, wide, sprawling games that have so many options and so many, like, point salad-y games, if you want to use a dirty term, there's so many permutations that it's just... Castell is a perfect example of this. If you are going to min-max that game, don't play it with me.
Right.
I don't want to play it with you. That's basically.
I've got a friend who is a nice guy, but my God, winning is the sole purpose he plays games, to the point where he will do underhanded things. He won't cheat, that's not right. But what he will do is, I played through the ages with him, and there was one card, and I've told the story a million times, but there's one card that would ruin my entire game. And he'd played it before and I hadn't, and he didn't tell me it was in the game. And he saw me doing this one course of action that would be completely undermined by this one card, and he just didn't tell me it was in the game. And then when the card came up, he laughed at me because I'd completely undermined my entire strategy 45 minutes into a 4-hour game, and he knew he was going to romp away with it.
I mean, yes, that is funny, but also...
I mean, Christ. I literally threw my player board across the table at him. Because that's acceptable adult behaviour. But the point is, he will take all the time in the world to squeeze out every last point. And fundamentally, gaming is about people around a table have an enjoyable experience. And if you monopolise 3/4 of the time taking your turn because you aim for perfection in what is recreation, then you need to piss off. I'm trying to be clever, but you need to piss off, basically.
Exactly. Well, the thing is, right, I would argue that the point of a game, and I know it sounds a bit trite to say this, but I think the point of a game is, it's called a game, right? It's to have fun. It's a recreational thing to have fun. It's an activity that you do with other people. The reason I play games is to play with other people. It's to talk and hang out with people. That's why I like games, because it's, for me, I believe, the greatest facilitator of that pastime, other than drinking. And you can do both. And
you can. And games are less likely to result in you pissing your own blood.
It's true. That's very, very true. And I want people to play to win, because you want to challenge, and certainly the types of games I really enjoy are games where you really want to, you do want to get that extra point, and you want to think. But if you're doing it if you're doing it and you're taking away from other people's enjoyment, you're being a dick, and you are going against the spirit of the game, and you're going against the spirit of the hobby, I think.
And you're not allowed to cater to my expertise as a justification for it.
Yes, exactly.
Your expertise is absolutely by the by. I don't care that you think you're a fucking genius. You have to consider that there are other people around the table who are doing this for recreation. And you shouldn't play suboptimally, but you shouldn't play optimally to the point where 3/4 of the people around the table are not enjoying themselves because you want to be great.
Well, you can't do any other pastime like that, really. You can't drive a car like that, because you have to drive a car. You want to drive as optimally as you can to have a good experience driving that car, but you don't do that at the detriment of other people. And you have to also appreciate that other people are trying to do the same thing. They're all trying to drive their cars, and you have to, for everyone to have a good experience. I think a game fails, and it's not the game's fault, but a game experience fails if someone stops other people from enjoying that game. And in that regard, you've ruined the game for the people.
The design of the game can be as robust as you like, but if you have one dickhead who turns it on his head because of their own selfishness, then no game can succeed in that sort of environment,
And it is selfishness, and I found myself doing it, and I have done it in the past where I think I've taken, and I do apologise profusely when I'm doing it, because I worry about it. And yes, you have to have people who are thinking about what they're doing and stuff, but sometimes you just think, just go with it, go with the flow, just go with it. But sometimes you play a game,
chill out for 5 minutes.
Castell, again, I'll mention again, is the great example for this. You are not going to, there's just not enough time to work out what's the perfectly best move is. So just do one move, just do a move and have fun playing the game and do something. It's not fun not doing something. And I think that just really aggravates me. That just pissed me off.
So the last person I spoke to was the very talented individual who did the art on my banner on my website that I'm running from the radio communication shed secretly under the leader's nose, so don't tell him. And this is Scott Radtke, Drift Marlow, who's on Team Human, which is the team to be on in the current environment, because if you're on Team Caustic Blancmange, then you're evil.
It's been very strange that you'd have to mention you're on Team Human nowadays, isn't it? But I do appreciate that he's put it on his profile.
Well, exactly. And he says something that's very interesting that I fundamentally don't agree with.
I also am very glad that you mentioned this, because I also do not agree. Carry on.
He said, take-backs drive me fucking crazy. You made a suboptimal move. I don't care if the game state hasn't changed. Move the fuck on and live with it. Whereas I couldn't disagree enough. If you want to change and it's not going to affect anyone, well then redo your turn. I have no issue whatsoever.
I'm exactly, when I was reading through this, I also I do agree. I will always say, is it okay if I just take that move back? Because sometimes you have to go through the actual physicality of taking the chit and putting it in front of you, then moving the piece for you to realise that that's a terrible, terrible idea.
Isn't it incredible that sometimes you put something down and just the second you take your finger off it, you go, oh, that's absolutely terrible.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just the way it works, I think. And yes, I don't want to play with someone who's going to take back every other move. I don't want, but that doesn't happen very often, you know. And yes, if the game states change and stuff, but even then sometimes... And I think an extension of this is the person who says, oh, I should have taken a coin last round for that thing and I never did. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say, oh, just take the coin. It doesn't bother me. Just do it.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I do it all the time. And if anyone argues with me, I glare at them. That's the way it works.
It's like if they say, oh, I should have done this resource and stuff. And it's not going to change the world. And also, it's just a game. And yeah, I appreciate someone who's doing it all the time. And I have played with people who they take back their turn almost every turn, and you go, you know, have you ever seen the movie? Is it called Paper Moon? It's made in the 70s.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
It's made in the 70s, but it made to look like it was made in the 50s or 40s, and it's about a con man and his daughter who are actually real father and daughter in real life, whatever. And there's this scam that you do where you give someone a $5 note and then you make change and then you switch it back and then you do this thing and you end up with more money, the whole $5, and it's a way to do change where you end up with more money than you should have got. And I do see some people who are doing those takey-backy moves, right? And you go, oh, I don't know if you're doing it on purpose, but maybe you haven't worked this out right. And I think you may have an extra coin or an extra resource. And yeah, that's a different thing. And that's people, I don't like cheaters. Cheaters are the worst gamers of all time. I don't want to play with cheaters. But yeah, taking a move back. Go for it.
If it's 20 minutes later, tough shit. I mean, that's a fact. If it's 20 minutes later, tough shit. I'd have had people go, oh no, and I think, sorry, everything's changed. You can't do it. But generally, if someone just goes, oh, sorry, can I redo that? You have to say yes, because frankly, and especially in this post-apocalyptic, crater-pocked Earth, life is too short.
Exactly, and it'll be you next time, wishing you can take your move back. And then they'll say, well, go fuck yourself, actually. So,
well, I've had a lovely time drinking this bathtub grog.
It's grog. Is it grog because they leave the bits in? Would it be mead otherwise?
Exactly. So you can, it gives you some sort of nutrition at least. But Janine has invited me to go out and look at the corpses in the moonlight, and so, I'm hoping that when the world is rebuilt, we'll look back on these days and we'll see the glassy, staring eye of a rotting zombie, and it'll take us back to simpler, happy times.
Oh, that's lovely. That's just lovely.
Isn't it beautiful?
You enjoy.
Anyway, so
enjoy yourself.
Yes. So have a lovely day and don't get bit. You want to get into the guild? Well, first, make sure you've wiped all them spores off you. Then, go to the 5 Games for Doomsday Guild, number 3209. Now, I'm sure the lime pit ain't gonna lime itself. Up.